It happens without warning. You're walking to the kitchen in the morning, still half asleep, and something is on the floor in front of you. Something small, something that used to be moving, and your cat is sitting next to it, completely still, watching your face with an expression you cannot read. Most people land on one of two explanations. Either their cat is being affectionate, leaving a gift the way you'd leave flowers, or their cat is acting on some deep, primitive hunting instinct that has nothing to do with you at all. Both of those explanations feel reasonable. Neither of them is actually what's happening. Because when behavioral ecologists, veterinary neuroscientists, and animal cognition researchers have studied this behavior, really studied it with cameras and cortisol measurements and controlled experiments, what they found turns a dead bird on your doorstep into one of the most psychologically complex things your cat does. And the detail that nobody talks about, the one that changes everything, is this. Your cat didn't bring that to you because it was hunting. It brought it because of what you are to it. And those are not the same thing. Let's start with the explanation you've probably already heard. The teaching theory. The idea that your cat is trying to show you how to hunt. That it sees you as a hopeless, incompetent member of the colony who cannot feed itself and is patiently trying to correct that. It sounds plausible. Mother cats do bring prey back to their kittens to teach them. That part is real. But here's the problem with applying it to you. In the wild, mother cats don't just deliver prey and walk away. They demonstrate. They show kittens what to do with it. They model the behavior. Your cat does none of that. It drops the mouse, or the bird, or whatever it found, and then it watches you. It isn't teaching, it's presenting. And those are two completely different behaviors with two completely different neurological drivers. So if teaching isn't the explanation, what is? The answer starts not with what your cat is doing, but with what your cat feels in the moment it's doing it. Cats are solitary hunters. Every species in the Felidae family, from lions down to the domestic cat, evolved to hunt alone. Unlike wolves, unlike dogs, unlike almost every other carnivore that was eventually domesticated, cats did not develop a social hunting structure. Their entire predatory system is wired for a single organism operating independently. But here is where it gets interesting. Because domestic cats, your cat, live inside a social bond that their neurology was not originally designed for. 15,000 years of coevolution with humans didn't erase their solitary predatory drive. It layered something on top of it. And what that layering produced is a behavior that has no clean parallel anywhere in the natural world. In 2021, researchers at the University of Exeter, led by Dr. Martina Cecchetti, published a study in the journal Current Biology that set out to understand why cats bring prey home at all, and what reduces it. They monitored 355 cats across 219 households. What they found completely reframed the conventional understanding. Cats that were nutritionally satisfied, specifically cats fed a high-protein, meat-based diet, brought home significantly fewer prey items, 36% fewer to be exact. What this means is that prey return isn't primarily driven by hunger. A hungry cat eats what it catches. A satisfied cat brings it home. The act of bringing it to you happens specifically when the cat has no biological need to consume it, which means something else is driving the behavior entirely. Something social, something that has everything to do with who you are to this animal. But here's the detail that never makes it into casual conversations about this. And it should. Your cat didn't bring that to everyone in the house. In multi-person households, cats consistently return prey to one specific person. Not the loudest one, not the one who feeds them most reliably. Behavioral researchers studying this pattern have found that the selection follows what they call a proximity attachment hierarchy. The person the cat has the deepest sustained bond with, the one whose nervous system it has spent the most time near. If you are the chosen recipient, you have been categorized, at a neurological level, as the most central figure in your cat's social world. That's not a small thing. Cats do not bond indiscriminately. They do not perform social rituals out of habit or obligation. In 2019, researchers at Oregon State University tested whether cats form genuine attachment bonds with their owners using Ainsworth's strange situation procedure, the same developmental test used to measure attachment security in human infants. 65% of cats tested were classified as securely attached to their owner. When the owner left the room, those cats showed measurable distress. When the owner returned, they settled. They use the owner as a secure base, not out of dependence, but out of something that behavioral science would classify as genuine social trust. The cat bringing you a dead animal is operating from inside that bond. It is not performing a transaction. It is making a social gesture, and the neurological system driving it is one of the most ancient systems in the mammalian brain. Here's where the science goes somewhere most people would never expect. When a cat hunts and makes a kill, the predatory motor sequence, orient, stalk, chase, grab, bite, produces a cascade of neurochemical activity in the brain. Dopamine surges through the reward circuit before the kill even happens. The anticipation of capture is neurologically rewarding. The act of pursuit is neurologically rewarding. And then, at the moment the hunt completes, the brain gets its full payoff. But here is a strange part. The moment the prey stops moving, the moment it goes completely still, your cat's brain begins to disengage. Not because the cat has lost interest, but because the predatory circuit that was driving the behavior responds to movement, not to the prey itself. A dead animal that no longer moves no longer activates the system that made hunting feel rewarding. The dopamine response drops. The urgency dissipates. And what fills that space for a cat that is securely bonded to you is the social drive. The cat brings the prey to you not to show you a finished product, but because your reaction, your movement, your voice, your startled expression, reactivates the neurological moment that just ended. Every time you gasp, or recoil, or say their name in that particular tone, you are, from your cat's neurological perspective, completing the hunt. Your horror is the applause, and your cat is not being cruel. It has no concept of what that object means to you. It only knows that this object, brought to you, produces a response. And response, from the person who is the center of its social world, is one of the most neurologically rewarding things that exists for a social animal. Now, I want to tell you something that almost never comes up in conversations about this behavior, and it matters. Your cat specifically chose you, not the most convenient person, not the one it happened to be near. Research on feline personality and predatory behavior, including a 2022 study published in Applied Animal Behavior Science by researchers at the University of Exeter, found that cats who bring home prey consistently score high in extroversion and low in neuroticism on validated feline personality assessments. What this means is that the gifting behavior itself requires a specific psychological profile to perform. It takes a confident cat, a cat that feels secure enough in its environment and in its bond with you, to present something vulnerable, to stand in front of you with a animal and wait for what happens next. The anxious cat, the cat that hides when strangers arrive, the cat that spends most of its time under the bed, that cat may love you just as deeply, but it doesn't have the psychological security to perform this ritual. Gifting is an act of confidence, not just affection, and the fact that your cat is performing it tells you something specific about what kind of attachment you have built. But here's the piece that will stay with you. A 2013 study led by researcher Carrie Ann Lloyd at the University of Georgia tracked free-roaming owned cats for an entire year using animal-born video cameras, a project known as the KittyCam study. They watched what cats actually caught versus what they brought home. The finding was this: cats brought home only 23% of the prey they captured. 23%. The rest, the majority of what they caught, was eaten in the field, cached somewhere, or simply abandoned. What came home was not the overflow. What came home was selected, specifically chosen, out of everything the cat caught that day, to bring back to a specific place and a specific person. The dead bird on your floor is not your cat's leftovers. It is your cat's highlight. And there is one more thing. A 2019 study from Linköping University in Sweden measured long-term cortisol levels, stress hormones accumulated over weeks and months captured in hair samples from both cats and their owners. The levels were synchronized. Stressed owner, stressed cat. Calm owner, calm cat. The direction of influence ran primarily from owner to cat, not the reverse. What this means is that the cat standing in front of you with its offering has been quietly tracking your internal state for months. Its nervous system has been calibrating itself against yours. Its sense of safety, its confidence, its willingness to engage with you in this deeply biological way All of it has been shaped by the emotional environment you created, without ever realizing you were doing it. There is one last thing I need to tell you, and I don't want you to skip it. If a cat that has been bringing you prey suddenly stops entirely, not gradually, not seasonally, but abruptly, pay attention. Research in feline behavioral medicine has established that sudden changes in well-established behavioral patterns are among the earliest indicators of pain, illness, or psychological distress in cats. The behavior disappears before any visible physical symptom, before limping, before changes in eating, before anything you can see. And in older cats specifically, changes in behavior patterns are a primary marker of feline cognitive dysfunction, the feline equivalent of dementia, which affects a significant proportion of cats over the age of 11. Your cat does not have language. It cannot tell you something is wrong. What it has is behavior, and behavior is the only signal it can send. So the next time you find something small and still on your floor, and your cat is sitting nearby watching you with those eyes that seem to hold a question, here is what is actually happening. Your cat ran the full arc of something ancient and biological, the chase, the catch, the kill, and then turned around and brought the best part to you. Not because it confused you for a kitten, not because it was following a script, but because its nervous system, shaped by 15,000 years of coevolution and months of living inside the rhythm of your daily life, recognized you as the most important figure in its social world. It is not giving you a gift the way a human gives a gift. It is doing something more specific than that. It is bringing the thing that mattered most, in the moment it mattered most, to the one creature that matters most. That is not instinct misfiring. That is attachment, ancient, biological, neurochemically verified attachment, expressed in the only language your cat has. If this changed how you see what your cat has been doing, subscribe to this channel and leave a comment below. Has your cat ever brought you something? And who in your house do they always bring it to? That answer tells you more about your bond than you might expect.